What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with
patience. Use the Force. Think.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Diablo 3 Season 36 build-up video. Today we are looking at the Secret of the Light set, which is the starting set for the Crusader. Again, we're not going to use any Paragon. We're going to go through the 2-piece beating Master, 4-piece beating GR20, 6-piece all the way up to Torment 16. I was possibly a little bit harsh on this suit when I reviewed it for the fastest start. It's probably not quite as bad initially as maybe I'd thought, but still it's a bit clunky. It's going to be quite expensive as a build to set up, but we'll go through all of that. As always guys, thumbs up brightens my day. So Mr. Crusader is not going to have anything but move speed, no Paragon. We're going to use all yellow items. We're just going to use 2 pieces of the Secret of the Light set. We're not even going to bother using a legendary flail for this one, for the initial run through. The cube has got nothing beneficial in it. The golden flint buffs up sweep attack, illusory boots. Yeah, okay, we can move unhindered through enemies, so it's not doing any damage. And then the Eternal Union buffs up the phalanx, which we're obviously not going to use. The rest of it is yellow. You will have more stuff than this, I guarantee it, when you get to the point of having 2 pieces. You'll have found a legendary item. You'll have gems to stick in your gear, probably. You'll most likely have a weapon that has got strength on it, and it might even be a legendary. Now, there are modifiers and stuff in the loot pool level 1, so if you are using your challenge rift bag, you can roll shields and try and get a guard of Johana. We will make use of this later. This gives 250% increased damage the first 3 enemies hit, which is really nice. In the armor slot, you can also go Gabriel's Van Braces. These again are in the loot pool level 1. Really helps out with a resource. Again, initially I've just stuck nothing in the helmet. Now, Master is not particularly hard, and yeah, there's just not too much to say about that. It is pretty doable with everything. And it looks like my game's booked. I'm going to have to quit this. Super annoying, but what can we do? In terms of the skills, the Limitless one seems to be the one with best damage. This is the one we use when we push. You can take the Dominion, which will follow you around, but the Limitless one seems to be, I think, probably the better choice. Provoke, if you need a bit more damage, you can take the Charged Up rune, which gives a bit more, I think, just damage on this kind of 2-piece. You can do Too Scared to Run. You can do Cleanse. It doesn't really matter which rune you pick for the Provoke. Laws of Valor, Unstoppable Force. This gives us attack speed and resource cost reduction. Steel Skin, Iron Skin is going to give us 50% damage reduction when it's up, which is pretty nice. Profit is going to give us resource, damage and toughness. And then Falling Sword, Rapid Descent. When we land with this, it's a big 1700% weapon damage. Quite nice, early on in the game. And the more enemies you hit, the faster it will reset. We've got the one-handed weapon, so we're going to take the 15% cooldown reduction and attack speed reduction. I've put Finery on, guys. If you've got sockets with stuff in, this is still worth taking. Obviously, we haven't got any gems in this particular one, so swap this off for something else. Long Arm of the Law is the other passive we're going to use. Holy Cause we're going to use. Trying to think what else we could do. Anything for... Oh, we could do this blunt blessed hammer damage 20%. That'll probably be quite a nice one actually, so maybe we'll swap that now. Obviously, the longer the game goes on, the more Finery works for you. But yeah, that should be too good. Now, the 2-piece, every use of Blessed Hammer will reduce the cooldown on the Falling Sword and the Provoke, so we do get good uptime on them, but we've only got to do Master, so it's, as I say, not particularly challenging in today's game. And of course, we get an Auric Extreme, wonderful. So, the big slam or blast stuff, but as you can see, Master's just not going to be a problem. This is single target. This would be you might have to kill a boss on Master. And that's, pretty good. With no legendary weapon, I think that's pretty decent. So, 2-piece, A-OK, no problemo. Let's go look at the 4-piece, because the GR20 does get a little bit tougher. Now, for the 4-piece, you don't really get any damage on it, unfortunately. You get 50% damage reduction for 8 seconds after you do your falling sword. So obviously the 2-piece does have nice synergy because it resets it. Again, we're not going to have tons of cooldown everywhere. So, you know, we're not going to have like loads of uptime on this. But what I would recommend is making another level 1 Crusader and getting the Guard of Johana and Gabriel's Vambraces, as we talked about at the start of the video. This modifier from the shield will be enough to carry you, I think, through to GR20. So again, you want a big slam, will do a little bit of damage, but it's now more about the hammers rather than anything else. Of course, you've only got to clear this once. The hammers is generally okay for trash, and it's less good for single target. Definitely one of the things that kind of lets it down. But again, no Paragon, no gems, no Soul Shard. You'll be able to get this done. Probably first time, I would have thought. And you know, if you're struggling for toughness, you just want to try and like manage your cooldowns a little bit. But there you go, single target. That's quite a tough enemy. We've got it done. And then GR20, obviously, go off and finish the rest of it. So let's look at the 6-piece and see where we get to with that. Now, 6-piece, we get 15,000% blessed hammer damage and 1,000% falling sword. So again, it's more about hammers rather than anything else. What I would say is you're going to be pretty squishy as your Crusader to start off with once you get this unlocked. So I'm going to put in Boon of the Hoarder and Gold Wrap just to kind of illustrate like a damage check, really. Things that you can get for toughness: Justice Lantern, look out for one of these. Block Chance gives damage reduction, and there's like passive you can pick for that. Other than that, you are going to obviously have to maybe roll some of your gear for defensive stats like Vitality, Life Percent, or Res. Make sure you do actually get your gems off into your gear as well. We've upgraded a one-handed flail at this point. Obviously, we're not allowing for good luck and getting like the Johana's Argument. We're just going to take this one. It doesn't do anything for us at all. But again, you know, a legendary weapon is going to add like a nice 20-30% over the yellow that we had previously. Now, this will be up to Torment 9, I think, as a fairly comfortable place. We need to put Blunt back on because we're still not taking any gems. Not amazing, and you might have to go down to Torment 8 for this. But let's just hope we can kill something and get the gold. Actually, it's not too bad. I remember this being a little more difficult when I was doing the testing. But yeah, Torment 9, maybe 10, actually. If you can get like a socket with, you know, some a green gem in your weapon. If you've got the Altar of Rights, if you've got anything else that's giving you a bit of damage, you might be at Torment 10, which, you know, for modifiers that you can find at level 1, it's not too bad. This is not bad. It's just, yeah, the rest of it, putting it together is a little tricky. But yeah, Torment 9, as soon as you get to the 6-piece, provided you've rolled your blood shards on your level 1 character. Now, in terms of what modifier to add next, it's a little tricky. You can go for pants and go for hammer jammers. So 400% increased damage for blessed hammer for 10 seconds after you hit them with a blind, immobilize, or stun. I can't work out where the immobilize is or stun in the kind of like skills that the push builder's got, but I presume it's the provoke. This must like lock them in place or something for 400% increased damage. The other one is Johana's Argument. Now, this is actually not that expensive to get in the cube, because again, you go back onto your level 1 Crusader. It is in the loot pool. You just have to roll one-handed weapons. It will take a bit of time. Weapons are expensive, but there's not that many in the pool, so that's quite an easy one to get. Of course, if you are taking your Guard of Johana out of the cube for the Johana's Argument, you kind of want to have a Guard of Johana on the character. And this can be a bit of a pain to hit because there's quite a lot of Crusader shields, but I don't know whether to put the hammer jammers in and do Johana's Argument, like do the shield in here. But either which way, let's just test the Guard of Johana and the Johana's Argument. This gets us up to, I think, Torment 11. So again, we're still doing the Gold Wrap Boon of the Hoarder for the toughness combo. And again, it's just a question of chucking the hammers out. And yeah, not too bad. Once we stick the hammer jammers on, I think we will be cooking. But Torment 11 with another modifier, it's not amazing, but this is doable until you get yourself into your Ages of Valor Crusader. You will run out of Fury, or Wrath even, a little, quite a few times. So you could maybe consider the Topaz in the helmet, but it's going to be a bit frustrating. Obviously, if you play a little bit lower difficulty, you're going to need less hammers to kill stuff. And remember, once you take the hammer jammers, you're going to lose your Gabriel's Van Braces. Now, there's nothing wrong with necessarily keeping like level 16 of any of these items that have got modifiers on. Like if we didn't have a level 70 God of Johana, nothing wrong with using a 16 one, because it would have the modifier on it, albeit it would not have the stats. And like this one's trash, it's got 200% on. So let's add some more juice and see where we get to. Now, adding in the hammer jammers for the 400% increased damage, I've put in shield glare just to make sure that we can definitely get this blind off a little bit more often. And this will allow us up to what used to be the end of the game, which is Torment 13. And that's kind of good because there's only one more item to find, and it's a little bit of an annoying one because it is a two-handed sword. The falling sword's kind of nice to start rifts off because you can jump over stuff like that. Now, we will start to struggle, I think, a little bit for the single target here. But if you can see, once we do get that blind off, it does do okay damage. Again, it just feels a little clunky because we've got to try and hit with this falling sword thing. And that's going to get worse when we add the next item in. We've got quite a bit of resource problems with the hammers. Like, obviously, cooldown pylon, woof. That'll make a big difference. But we're really, really squishy without the gold wrap and stuff up. So let's add the final modifier and show that we can actually just about do Torment 16. Now, getting to Torment 16, the final item is the Faithful Memory. It's difficult to hit. It's a two-handed sword, so it is going to take a bit of time. You are going to have a Johana's Argument on the character now. So again, this is another item that is difficult to get. One-handed flail. Upside is you're probably looking for your Dark Light, because of course you want to get off hammers and get onto the Ages of Valor Fist of Heaven's Crusader, so maybe you hit it anyway. Guard of Johana's shield is not easy to hit at level 70 because again there's lots of Crusader shields. Again, you're looking for Norvalds as well. But this is all the modifiers basically that we can kind of get for this build. I think we've put on a level 70 pairs of Gabriel Van Braces just to try and help with the resource. Obviously got the pants in the cube, the whole shebang. Unfortunately, if you don't have the gold wrap and Boon of the Hoarder up, you're just going to get completely annihilated. So let's put the cheat death on actually, because that might help us out. Now we've got cheat death and Acrats. You kind of want to take the attack speed, you kind of want to take the extra blessed hammer damage. I think this is multiplier because if it might be additive. So maybe we could try Finery. Holy Cause, 10% damage. Again, you kind of feel like you've got to take it. And Long Arm of the Law, again, kind of makes sense. So that's why we've got no cheat death, is basically what I'm getting at. Now, this is probably somewhere between... Oh yeah, this is quite handy. We can grab the shield pylon. This is somewhere between like 15 and 16 because like that, the enemies aren't always going to nicely line up for you to hit like, like we've hit maybe got 5 or 6 there. And that's probably enough to do T16. But sometimes you're only going to clip one with your fallen sword. And this just seems like it's like quite a lot to manage for something that isn't massively rewarding. Like, like obviously we compare this to like Necro, we compare it to the Barb, compare it to the Demon Hunter. They're just much better starting sets. And I think what puts me off this is this is a fair amount of like death's breath and resources to put into this. And yeah, fine, you're looking for Ages of Valor stuff anyway. But I think where I start to really question whether it's worth it is the Faithful Memory, because I don't mind doing the one-handed flail for the Dark Light. I don't mind doing Crusader shields for the Norvalds. I don't mind rolling pants for hammer jammers because you might get Ages of Valor pants. But upgrading two-handed swords really just feels like a bit of a waste of DBs. So it might simply be best to leave the Johannas in the cube from level 1 and basically play it on like Torment 13 and use Torment 13 to go into Ages of Valor rather than finishing this, because even if you get this like fully set up, it's still not going to be great. You know, if we used 800 Paragon Crimson set, it still wouldn't be a particularly great Torment 16 build, I don't think. Right, that's the video, guys. Good luck if you are making Crusader. I hope those Ages of Valor pieces pop out super fast. And hopefully you've maybe I've been too down on this. Hopefully you'll look at this and go, yeah, I can cope with Torment 13. That's fine, no problem. Right, I've been the Filthy Casual. Take it easy, guys. Peace.